Good morning and welcome to the 5th anniversary of the Rebelle Rally live show, presented this year by our friends at Kia. I'm Katie Kunkel and I'm here with professional driver Matthew Johnson, and we have had some fun in the last few days. Today is stage 2 of the rally. We're going through Death Valley, which we're all super excited about, down to Cactus Flats. But before we get on to today, Matthew, let's talk a little bit about yesterday. If we learned one thing, it's going to be a tight competition. We're moving out of Nevada. What did you see yesterday out on horse?
I saw teams absolutely focused, really going for it. There was the beginning of the day yesterday was easy to get lost. As you might have heard us say, Emily said the key to yesterday was knowing exactly where north was all day and you'd be okay. But if you got a bit turned around, there were so many different roads to choose from, it was easy to choose the wrong one. I was a bit surprised at the end of the day to see how well so many teams have done. If you've looked at the leaderboard, it's a tight competition.
Yes, and they strategically, I think Chrissy and Emily made it so for the first time, people who just assume that they can't get a black checkpoint were able to hit them. So whether they set them topographically in an area that was easier or made the scope around it a little easier to get, it made the teams who have never hit black checkpoints get a lot of confidence last night. And so I think we're going to see more of the teams going after black checkpoints this year than we have in past years.
I think it's such a good point. Our black checkpoints are actually worth fewer points. But if you want to be in the game to win this thing, you've got to go and get the hardest checkpoints, and they're the black checkpoints. But by making them a little easier, a little more achievable, some teams that don't know themselves as being that accurate are going for them now, and it's great. I think that was a really good technique for how they set the course up yesterday.
And we had some technical difficulties right off the mark yesterday. I mean, I think when we were sitting here, it was probably almost 8 o'clock, the 69 Bronco was still here. Oh. And then we saw them again down the line, and they were just taking it easy, making sure they had their bearings, and they made it in, and they did great. Another technical issue we had out there was Team Choco Love. They had some pretty major suspension issues, which we can get into later.
Oh, yeah, I'm happy to talk about that, but yeah, that was inconvenient.
I do believe, though, they drove from the mechanics bay onto the start line, so I think we're going to see them out there today, but that's an incredibly interesting developing story. So today, stage 2, Death Valley.
Yeah.
You know, it recorded the hottest temperature in history earlier this summer.
Yeah. Was it like 136 degrees? It was some very uncomfortable sounding number.
So we've all got our, we're moving through such varied terrain. We've the Wild West here in Nevada to yesterday. Down, we're going to have to get out I think it's going to be maybe 100 degrees down at the end of the course. So the temperatures and the terrain is all just so different. But I think we should get into the challenge of today.
Sure.
Okay.
I've got a bit of a summary about that. Are we ready for that?
Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
I think we should talk about the stage winners.
Oh,
because this year we have a different way to present them. We actually have their photographs.
Okay.
So let's reveal who won stage 1 in the 4x4 class. We have Nina Barlow from Palm Springs, California, and Tana White from Cashmere, Washington. They're driving the 2020 Dodge Ram Power Wagon, and it is bone stock. So it came straight out of the driveway. Now that's pretty cool. And what's interesting is the team who's right behind them, Rochelle Croft and Taylor Pauley, they led every stage last year. That's not happening this year because Nina's come out and won stage 1. And I can tell you from what I know about Nina, she competed with me in 2017. She is hungry like a wolf. She wants to win this rally. And if she can continue doing what she did yesterday, she is most certainly in the standings. Now let's just quickly talk about the X-Cross winners. We had a tie. So the first team that came in, Shelby Hall and Penny Dale. Shelby's from Reno, Nevada. Penny Dale is from Vancouver, British Columbia. So it's the first time they're competing together, and they are driving in a 2021 Ford Bronco. also bone stock.
Yeah,
Wow.
also bone stock. Exactly.
Incredible. And they got
Yeah.
199 points. That's 93% of the points you can get.
Mm-hmm.
But they tied. They tied with an original Rebel, Sabrina Howes, and Alyssa Ronak, who has not competed before. So this is a new team coming together actually as teammates, both from Los Angeles, California. And they are driving Kia. The Tellurides are crushing it in a tie for first place after stage one, getting 199 total points.
That was, I mean, there's a lot of points out there. Like we talk about, it's a tie after the day, but it's a tie with 199 different points, over 20 some checkpoints I had access to yesterday. So anything can happen. And I want to go back to 4x4 for a second. Nina Barlow got 208 points. That was 97% of available points yesterday. And when you look at second place for yesterday, Rochelle and Taylor, last year's winners, got 207 points. They only got one less point, and it's still considered 97% of available points.
And they're in that awesome Lexus, the 2020 Lexus.
Yeah, this morning I went and walked over and looked at it. That front bumper on that Lexus, it's custom, looks really Darth Vader-y. It looks like an attack mode Lexus. It's pretty cool.
Stealth.
Yeah.
It's the most stealth vehicle out here this year, I think.
Agreed. It's super dark.
And they had 207 points with 97%.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Now, right after them is Team 125, Kaylee Miller and Tyrlin, who won it in 2017, and those two are up the earliest. They are so together when it comes to systems. They're in a small Jeep, and they can pack it in there just so efficiently. So they are a team to watch. And I mean, these leaders are within 5% of each other.
Yeah.
Which is so tight, so tight.
And speaking inside that 5%, we've got Karen Hohen and Dana Saxton, original Rebels.
Mama
been here
Hohen
every
and
year.
Dana.
Yeah, they've been here every year. I went and looked at them this morning. They're working hard at the table, plotting their checkpoints. I gave them some congrats for doing well yesterday. Dana looked up and was like, "We always crush day one." And I'm like, "Okay, we'll get to work on day two."
They never give themselves enough credit. Those two know what they're doing, and they're in a 2014 Land Rover. Now, we've got the electrified class in the top 10. Coming in here, Emmy Hall and Emmy Hall and Rebecca Donahue are also considered bone stock.
Okay, yeah, bone stock.
No, they're not.
I don't know. We'll
Actually,
clarify
I'll come
that.
back to that. It's such small print.
My
in
sheet
there.
doesn't tell me that.
Yeah, that's okay. But they're in the 2020 Rivian, and it's just so interesting to watch how they compete, because they have to come back and check in to get power. So we have Leslie inside trying to monitor. Well, first of all, they have to call in and say, we need power. And when they tell us at a certain checkpoint when they need power, we then monitor. And as soon as they leave the course, Leslie starts the timer, and they have 1.5 hours to come down. That's the Rivian right there off the start. Perfect. And they're driving past, oh no, that's actually gone. I was going to say they're driving past the Power Innovations truck, but that's moved down to the course in case they need power on the course. So yesterday they needed 1.5 hours to get more. Go ahead.
What we're finding out and what they're learning about the Rivian is they're taking a super safe strategy so far. They're finding that maybe they do have enough juice to do a whole day. They just don't want to end up out on the backside of a mountain where they can't get access to power and end up in a sticky situation. So I think we're going to see them be more daring later in the week, not willing to spend that hour and a half charging or like off course and out of the competition. And by the way, that hour and a half, they're not allowed to use for a lot of planning. It's not, let's say, extra competition time. So when that vehicle is charging, if they need a charge, they are separated and they do not have their maps. It's just kind of like chill time. So it's not extra planning time, we could say, just to keep things as fair as we can manage. And it's all new territory here.
I'm seeing here, I put my glasses on, man.
Yeah, it is bone stock.
It does look like a bone on that little graphic. We'll have to enlarge our graphics for tomorrow. But of course it is. And another thing to point out is that Rivian, it's the number one Rivian to come off the factory floor.
Off the line.
Which is quite incredible. Now, another interesting team we have that was a surprise yesterday was Team 133, Team Iridium, driven by COO of Iridium, Susie McBride. She has not competed in the event before. Her navigator, Maria Guitar, has. She came in initially as an engineer from Honda and then competed with her mother the next year. And Maria has clearly crushed it on the navigation and Susie on the driving. So they've come in at 5th place. And at 7th place, this is our only rookie team in the top 10 from day one. And that is Erin Vogel. She's a professional driver. So she's crushing it. And Sarah Swenson is clearly a navigator to watch. So we have rookies in the top 10 with 202 points at 94%.
That's not a simple achievement. We really need to give them props for that. That's awesome.
Okay, so let's get into stage 2. So
sure.
Stage 1, they've crushed it. They had to know where north was. They've blown out all the cobwebs. They know how to compete together now. Everyone had a good night's sleep last night. It was comfortable here. The wind picked up last night like no other. But I think we have a lot of well-rested competitors out there. I can see Team 114, Team Curry, is about to go off the start line. But today they are actually, we consider it a transit day. So they have 417 kilometres, and there's 19 scoreable checkpoints on the table. 5 of those are green checkpoints, 7 of them are blue checkpoints, and 7 of them are black. And remember that we have these X options this year, which means that you can be presented with checkpoint 13, but you have a choice with checkpoint 13X, and you could potentially score more points by going for the X checkpoint. And so that's another way to gather more points on the table. So that'd be 417 kilometres we're travelling today, which means our live team, as soon as we're done here, we have to pack up and race down the line, and we're going to go live on course today down at, I have to say it quietly, Olancha Dunes. That's where we're going live from in about 3.5 hours. If we can get our act together and get down the line in front of some of the teams, we'll be going live from the first sand dunes. Okay, let's go to a commercial.
Sounds good.
Hi, I'm Justin from Wagon Tech, a company that has been in the Bay Area of California for over 37 years. As an automotive lifestyle company, we provide products that give you power, comfort, and convenience for the road ahead. Power means having a hot cup of coffee no matter where you are. Comfort is enjoying your trip. Convenience is having the tools you need when you need it. With Wagon Tech, you'll always be road ready.
Welcome back to the 2020 5th Anniversary Rebelle Rally. And that was a piece from our new partner, Wagon. And their gear, if you're into the automotive lifestyle, their gear is second to none. We have a competition running, which if you sign up for our newsletter anytime during the competition this week, you can go in to win a starter pack, and we'll show you what's in that a little later on in the day. Matthew, why don't you give us a rundown on the course description?
I would love to. I have some information about that here. What you're looking at on the screen, though, is Base Camp 1. Our other base camps are not going to look just like that. Notice the terrain and the surrounding environment and everything. We love it here. It's beautiful. All right, so Stage 2, Death Valley to Cactus Flats. We're going to depart Base Camp 1 and head south on the east side of the Sierras and the historic, stunning Owens Valley. The day begins on a long, on-time enduro with several timing controls to achieve some points. At the end of the on-time enduro, teams stay on roadbook to Big Pine, California. At a green checkpoint, they're going to resume compass and map challenge as they collect checkpoints along the base of the Sierras with Mount Whitney in view. That's the tallest mountain in the contiguous U.S. Competitors are passing between the lowest point in America in Death Valley and the highest point, Mount Whitney, which measures 14,500 feet. While the views are stunning, the teams will be using the massive features as navigation points to nail their black checkpoints. The first sign of sand is on stage 2 today, with I think 2 or 3 checkpoints inside the Olancha Dunes. South of Olancha is an exceptionally stunning, fun section of the course marked with twisting, hard-packed sandy roads, massive Joshua trees, and the peaks of the eastern Sierras in the navigator's window. One of the most interesting features of the day is a chocolate brown sand dune where they will find a picture-perfect location for a green checkpoint. The finish line returns us to Ridgecrest, California, and the Spengler Open OHV area.
Thank you, Matthew. You know what? Today is going to be the most diverse day we will see on the entire rally.
Okay.
In terms of diversity, the highest and lowest points of contiguous America, that is diversity.
I would say.
Yeah. So if you have just joined us and you don't know anything about what the Rebelle Rally is, we're going to take you through the competition format. So it's teams of 2 women who compete from the shores of Lake Tahoe down to the border of Mexico using only a map and compass. Okay, so on the prologue, we took away all of their, we call them unmentionables, all of their devices, phones, iPads, you name it. They have nothing but a map and compass, and they are chasing checkpoints, green, blue, and black checkpoints, all the way. They have to use tools, obviously, the maps, a compass, and various other tools that we can show you in a tutorial later, including scales, because the scales of the map are different every morning. You don't know until you wake up what maps you'll be following, and these are not road maps, these are topographical maps. Let's get into checkpoints explained, Matthew.
Sure, I'd love to add some to that. I think we have a graphic we're going to show you for that one. Yeah, so our green checkpoints, they're clearly marked on the map. They're easy, much easier to find. All competitors must go to all green checkpoints. They're worth the most points. They're also manned. We have a person there on site. And that's how we can keep track of the competitors. We've got some eyes on the ground, so to say, out in the field, kind of making sure the whole process is moving and all the teams are doing okay. Our blue checkpoints will have a blue flag or sometimes a blue stake in the ground. They're quite a bit harder to find. There's no one there, but there's still a visual. You basically drive up to it, you use your tracker and signal that you're there, and that's how you get any of these checkpoints, to be clear. You're using one of the yellow brick trackers. You pull up, you signal where you are, and you get a lat and long registered for where your team was to get those points. But anyway, moving on, the black checkpoints are the hardest to find. There's no physical reference for you that you're in the right place. Literally just an expanse of dirt or something.
And look at that view there, Matthew. The
beautiful.
Checkpoints are out there. So imagine if over the other side of that range there, you're looking for a flag or a piece of rebar just in the ground behind a shrub. Like that is what that span is where these checkpoints are, which I think is important to note. Now let's talk a little bit about the second type of challenge, which is the enduro. And Matthew Johnson, professional driver and rally driver, knows his stuff in this department. So an enduro challenge, there are 2 types, and today we're actually hitting both of those types. On time is what they're doing right now, off the start, and they're using traditional rally books, which Matthew's going to take you over in a second, and they have assigned speeds and timing controls. Today it'll be a 28-kilometre on time, and there will be 4 timing controls. The en route also uses a rally book. You must stay en route, so they don't have the same GPS that we have getting down to base camp 2. They have to have this road book that Matthew's going to show you right now.
Yeah, so the road book has different lines for different new instructions. Each instruction has a mileage, a tulip, we call them tulips, and that basically is a little picture, just a little sketched picture of what the road intersection looks like and what you should do. I'm just going over this road book, but I want you to check out our beautiful Kia there, being the sponsor of the live show. We got a cool shot of that as the sun rises. So everyone this morning, actually, they had these road books out and they were going through them, highlighting them. I don't know if we can, if we have a visual for that, but mine is heavily marked up with highlighter and other instructions not to miss for the co-driver, the navigator there. But it gives you a little picture of where you should turn, what the intersection looks like, and in the exact mileage. Like, for instance, this is 5 kilometers, 0.89.
Yeah.
Not 0.80, but 0.89. This is exactly where this bridge crossing is, and that's where you turn.
And you probably can't see this, but you'll be able to see the highlights if you turn that round, Matthew. There we go. This person has highlighted it so that it's easier to read. And we'll take a shot of this and show it to you more in depth on another show. But it's a lot of math, and as we talked about earlier, the Benzies have won the Enduro both mornings, and that's how they were determined their start position. And so the proprietary Benzie method, which they happily share with other people, that's what's so cool about this competition, the camaraderie. They're out there teaching people their method and helping them learn how to do it. So we took some, waving goodbye to everyone. We took some video yesterday of what an enduro looks like. So let's have a look at that.
All right, Matthew Johnson coming to you from out here in the field at the beginning of the first on-time enduro of the event. And how this goes is they'll pull up to this line, they look at a clock here, and they see that they're synchronized, and they leave on the minute. And then in a certain number of minutes from here, if they've kept their average speed, we know exactly when they should roll by one of our checkpoints. If they roll by that checkpoint in a 5-second window, they're going to get full points. If they roll by that checkpoint in 6 to 10 second window, they get a couple more points. Basically, the further they are from where they should be at the checkpoint, the fewer points they get.
We have to calculate, given the kilometers, the number of kilometers, and the speed, the average, prescribed average speed, how much time that should take us.
Yeah, so this is a road book, and it basically gives us turn-by-turn directions as we go along the prescribed route, and we have a prescribed speed here and the directions at each distance, and then we have to figure out exactly what time we need to hit each of these directions so that we can get the maximum number of points. You get the most points if you're in the smallest window closest to the actual time.
So let's talk about who won last year. Matthew, why don't you tell us, or in past years actually, about the X-Cross winners in the past?
Yeah, one of my favorite things when we're looking at this graphic is that each vehicle that's managed to carry their team to victory each year is a different manufacturer entirely. So back in 2016, Melly Barrett and Sabrina Howes, and Sabrina, by the way, also in X-Cross today with Alyssa in our Kia. Obviously, they're a force to be reckoned with as they tied for the lead at the end of the day yesterday in X-Cross. Then in 2017, Jamie Grigsby and Lori Arterburn. Oh yeah, in the Jag F-Pace. That was cool to see cruising around on course. 2018, Sandy Connor, Lisa Walford in a Porsche Cayenne. And then last year, Emmy Hall and Rebecca Donaghy in the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, which, by the way, I got to drive a Rolls-Royce Cullinan around last year as media support. Oh man, I did. I wore a hat and a bow tie some of the time, but what a plush ride. It's funny that the Rolls-Royce was so quiet. They've done the only thing they could possibly do to make it quieter and gone electric this year.
Yep. And as staff, we don't like to pay favourites, but I think by default, we're pretty excited that the Kia's doing so well, right?
We are. Yeah, we are.
Okay,
I think
now
it looks cool too.
Doesn't it look cool? We have to find out who designed that. So let's talk about the 4x4 winners in the past. Okay, we've got 2016, Charlene Bauer and Kaylee Hotchkiss in the Jeep. Kaylee came back in 2017 with Tyrrell, and they're back together this year, again in a Jeep. 2018, more Jeeps, and that was a tie with the Canadians, Michelle and Elise, and of course Emmy and Rebecca in a Jeep that year. And then last year, we were all really surprised to see a bone stock take it with Rochelle Croft and Taylor Pauly in the Lexus. And they're back again this year in the hunt. They led it every day last year. So let's do a little bit of a flashback, Matthew, and have a look at our highlights, given it's the 5th anniversary from 2016.
This is kind of an intimidating thing for a lot of women, and so to step out of your comfort zone and to see what you're really made of, whether you get first place or whether you're pushing your Jeep through the finish line.
Wow. 2016, that was a long time ago. Hasn't this event come a long way?
Well, it's come a long way so fast. Like 16 feels like yesterday still. It's like really incredible. I look back at all the memories we've created, all the competition and all the things that have happened in the last 5 years. And you know what I think is especially cool is how many Rebels are still here. You know, competed all 5 years. How many sponsors are still around?
Yep.
How many of our crew are the original crew?
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a pretty special team. And one of those special members of our team is our resident vehicle expert. And man, does he know his stuff. He was born in the back of a Tundra, we believe. And Harry's out there at the start, and he's going to give us we're going to go to a Chaos commercial because, you know, we have to always mention our favourite Chaos cousins because they're so much fun. Let's go and see what Harry's up to after this commercial.
At Total Chaos, we believe in pushing everything to the limits and testing everything in our arsenal. We design our equipment to perform in brutal environments and some of the harshest off-road terrain. And because of that, we have been trusted to pre-run every mile of the Rebelle Rally for the last 5 years. Welcome to the chaos.
Good morning, Rebelle fans. We're here at the start line, and right behind me is Shelby Hall and Penny Dale, one of the 3 Bronco Sports entered this year in the X-Cross class. So you'll recall X-Cross, no low-range transfer case, and this vehicle actually is built on the Ford Escape platform, which isn't something I think of as having an off-road pedigree. Now, what does have an off-road pedigree is Shelby Hall. Her grandfather, Rod Hall, is one of the icons of off-road racing, and Shelby's proven that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. This vehicle actually comes with a lot of features that aren't found on the Escape. It's got an off-road mode. It actually has a selectable locking differential in the back, things that give it a lot of prowess. And props to Ford for bringing them out this year and allowing them to be put through the paces at the Rebelle Rally. You at home might be wondering, why aren't there any Broncos? Why are there only Bronco Sports entered in the Rebelle Rally this year? And that's a great question. We'd love to see some Broncos out here, and hopefully we'll see them next year. Unfortunately, due to production constraints, there aren't any Broncos available yet to enter in the 4x4 class. So we're going to have to be patient and just wait on that. Behind them in line here, we've got Team Valcat in their Power Wagon, one of 2 Power Wagons entered in the event this year, along with Nina Barlow, who won the 4x4 class on day 1. Now, speaking of new vehicles and production constraints, a lot of people were wondering, why hasn't Nina been driving a TRX, which is Ram's new answer to the Ford Raptor? Again, that's a brand new vehicle. There's production constraints. So hopefully we'll see Nina in one of those next year. They've got 707 horsepower, giant shocks, and that's going to be a vehicle that we're all interested in seeing. In the meantime, the Power Wagon is incredibly capable, and Nina's been in a Ram every single year. I have no reason to believe she won't be back in another one next year. That's it from the start line for now. Back to you, Katie.
Thank you so much, Harry. It's just so incredible. We all ran over to the live van so we could watch and listen to your expertise. Everyone is learning so much listening to Harry's tidbits. So let's have a look at the tracker right now. If you were to see it, can I see it up there, Nathan? Are we at the start? Oh, here we go. Okay, look at that. The teams. This is from yesterday, so you can see if you follow the tracker exactly where the teams are going, and it's such a cool visual. You can actually use your finger to go back and forth and reverse where they're going, and then if you click on each vehicle, it will tell you who it is. But don't think that by looking at this, just because your sister in the pink box is out in front, she's not out in front. This is not a race for speed. This is a race for strategy. And what you need to do is look on our scoring page to find out how many points they've scored. So this isn't a first place, who's out in front kind of visual. You have to then dig a little deeper and find out how many points. Now, what were you going to say earlier, Matthew, about that?
Yeah, so the whole story really is carried when you're watching the scoreboard, and each time, there on the tracker, you can see the little blue squares and black X's, and you can see where they are trying to get to signal the tracker. But those points get updated immediately on our scoreboard that you can see on rebelrally.com. Go to our website. It's spelled just like it is behind me there, rebelrally.com. Click on live to start, and then in the live segment, scroll down to scoring. And you're going to be able to see a real-time update. I mean, you'll see it as soon as we see it. The information is available. We get it from the same place you do there. The system is set up. It's completely automatic. No one has to touch, look, approve anything about the scores until the day after they get reviewed. Yeah, so when we're looking at the scoreboard there, when you're looking at the scoring, you want to click on the day that you're following to be able to follow real-time individual checkpoints.
So right now it's on standings.
Right now it's on standings. You'd click on day 2 if you were following today.
There we go.
Just like
Beautiful,
that.
Tracy.
And then at the top, we are looking at Group A 4x4. The 4x4s are split into 2 groups. So then we click Group B. You'll be able to see the other names, the other half of the crew. And then X-Cross is always our Group C. They are all together in the same group. But the 4x4 class is divided into 2 groups, and the competitors do not know which group they are in. This is just a way that we on the scoring side can make sure they're not following each other around out there in the desert. So if they don't know what the other team, what group the other team is in, then they, it's just, there's no cheese down that tunnel, we could say. You want to run your own race.
Down that what?
No cheese down that tunnel.
Where did that come from?
A book I read? Anybody read that children's book? I don't.
Let's go back to Harry and see what's going on in the star line. Jeez.
All right, we're back. I was too busy watching Katie and Matthew, and I left the start line. They're just magnetic personalities, what can I say? So in front of us now, we've got April Leone in her 4Runner. You might notice it has a very distinctive finish on it. She rolled this vehicle in the dunes earlier in the year and has since recovered it in diamond plate, giving it a new lease on life. It looks a bit tank-like, and that's exactly how she treats it. Now, notice her suspension, not bone stock. She's got those Total Chaos upper control arms and Toy-Tech coilovers. So what those control arms do is, instead of using a traditional ball joint, they have a uniball that allows more angularity. When combined with a longer coilover shock, there's more suspension travel. More suspension travel allows the tire to conform to the terrain, follow the route, and provides a smoother ride and more stability. Now, followed by them, we've got Team 136 here. They drove this Jeep all the way out from New York, and that's really impressive to me. I mean, one of the great things about the Rebel Rally is that these vehicles, they're not purpose-built race cars. They're vehicles that are street legal, stock or close to stock, and make very few compromises. And that really opens up the field to allow just about anyone to compete in this event. You don't need a huge budget. You don't need a purpose-built car and a trailer and a tow rig. You can drive your daily driver out here, compete in this event, and win. We saw a bone stock Lexus last year win overall in the 4-wheel drive class, and that's really telling. I think that if you want to focus on an area, focus on your skills more than modifying your vehicle heavily. There's compromises in that regard and diminishing returns sometimes in what sort of modifications you make. Behind them here, we've got Team 219. They're rookies, and they did incredibly well in their Volkswagen Touareg yesterday. Always a big boost of confidence for the rookies to do well on day one. And their vehicle, you can see, I'm a big fan of this look. It's a relatively stock Touareg, but larger tires and wheels. They've got a skid plate in the front that'll protect the radiator and the engine. And then on top, they've got their MaxTrax recovery boards where they're easily accessible, but then still well connected to the vehicle, so you don't have to worry about them flapping around or falling off or anything like that. An interesting choice they've made, you'll see they have 2 full-size spare tires, so one on the back of the vehicle and one on the roof. Punctures are something that's happened in this event, so I think that that's not a bad call. Having spare tires, not only do you need them in the field, but if you need to get outside assistance, there is a point penalty associated with that. So you want to carry everything you need with you on this event to ensure it's sufficient. Fan favorite Chris Vockler coming up to the line now from Team Fast and the Curious. If there's anyone who epitomizes the Rebelle and is full of enthusiasm, it's Chris. I've got to love her. And she uses this Jeep around her home in Portland, Oregon to go wheel on a regular basis. And I think that's really important. You get to know your vehicle better and its capabilities. Chris is equipped with a Warn winch in the front, a winch bumper. She has a TerraFlex suspension on this Jeep with their Falcon shocks that are adjustable in terms of compression. So what that does is allow you on road to have a firmer ride where the surface is relatively uniform, and then when you go off-road, when you get to these irregularities, you can lighten the compression, and what that does is allow more suspension travel and not exactly as harsh of a ride, but you're using up more of the suspension, so there's the opportunity there. You might encounter the bump stops and make a little more noise than you would make on-road. Everything is a compromise and a trade-off in this event, and it's just a matter of making quick decisions and deciding what's important and what trade-offs you want to make. Now, a different sort of suspension here on Laura Wanless's Jeep Gladiator. She actually has gotten rid of the coils and separate shocks altogether. She's running Off-Road Evolution's coil over kit in the front of her Jeep, and so what that does is packages the shock and the coil as one unit, and it's easier to change spring rates on those shocks. The packaging is smaller and more of a performance application. Now the trade-off there is those shocks potentially have to be rebuilt. They use things like rod ends instead of bushings that will wear out over time, but the performance gain is significant. Yes, so we have the G-Wagon back at the line. As Matthew mentioned, they encountered some adversity yesterday. Nick Guyver, our ace mechanic, and his crew got this vehicle back up and running. They had ripped off the shock mounts, unfortunately. Nick was able to weld new ones on, and from nearby in Tonopah, they found just some off-the-shelf shocks that they were able to put on the vehicle. Not exactly the performance we were just talking about with Laura Wanless's coilovers, but they'll live to compete another day, and that's the important part. Back to you, Katie.
You know, Matthew just said to me, I can hear it, I can hear the Mercedes. We are absolutely astounded that that vehicle is at the start line. And Matthew's just saying to me, do you have any idea, Katie, how lucky we are to have the talent that we have on the rally to completely rebuild a vehicle overnight? Matthew, why don't you speak a little bit more about what happened to Team Choco Love yesterday?
So yeah, I mean, part of the suspension is you have a shock absorber that dampens movement and then a spring that holds the car off the ground, right? Their upper shock mounts broke, so the movement was not damped. So you got a car that just bounces uncontrollably down the road. So they had to drive very slowly all the way back to camp. And
they found their shock on the ground.
The other, shock was like off the vehicle, on the ground.
Yeah.
The shock mounts had just rusted through. They didn't know it was a problem before they brought the vehicle here. It's a 30-year-old Mercedes. Who knows where it started its life? It could have been in a salty environment, whatever. But my point is, how cool was it? We had Nick and team that we've got the fabrication talent and welder and stuff that they rebuilt shock mounts to get that Mercedes back going today. I think it's incredible that they're here. I love the vehicle, and I love that our crew got them back in the game.
They were teary almost when I saw them, and they said, we are not going to get emotional about this until we are getting emotional because we're on the start line. So I actually think we should, we were going to talk about classes, but I think we should get out there and have a chat to Andrea so that she can talk to the Choco Love team. Are we able to do that, Nathan? Excellent.
Cool.
Damn, the tech team is good. Okay, let's go to Andrea.
Good morning, everyone. Andrea Bullard, competitor liaison here with you. Just jumped up on the start line, got some coffee in me, and ready to hang out with some teams and see what it's going to all be about today. Have we talked about Team 188 yet? I saw Harry talking about the truck a little bit. We've got a driver. We've got Wendy Fisher. Wendy Fisher is an Olympic skier. How many titles, Wendy?
I would say titles, but... Well, then I became a big mountain skier, so I have big mountain free skiing titles.
And Wendy Fisher lives in Crested Butte, Colorado, which is a big ski destination. And we've got Laura Wanlas, a three-time Rebelle, navigating. Good morning.
Good morning.
You guys excited for today?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the Jeep looks great. We'll see you out there.
See you.
So this day is really interesting for these competitors. They've done their day zero, the non-scored competition. They'd had their first real taste of a scored competition day yesterday, and they are pumped up and ready to go. They've got a lot more under their belt here, a little bit more experience, a little bit better idea of the terrain, and excited. Choco Love. Harry told you a bit about this vehicle earlier, I believe, and the shock troubles they had, but in the driver's seat here we've got Christian Renee, who is the owner and also sponsor of the rally for the company Choco Love. And I believe Harry might have mentioned already, but this thing is running on biodiesel made from chocolate that goes unused from the company. Is that correct, Christian?
I'd like to say you were correct. Right? You're not live, are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just talking about your biodiesel, but tell us a little bit about what happened yesterday.
Yesterday we blew out 2 rear shocks. Actually, the shocks were fine. Really, really pleased with the product that Alden sold us. But this truck's 30 years old, and she had some rot at the shock mounts, and so they literally ripped off. And we lost 2 of them and limped back, and I cannot believe that we actually managed to build from scrap metal 2 new shock mounts. I can't believe that we're at the starting line, actually. I thought we were headed home.
Well, when I was over there checking in with you last night, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how long that took them to do, but both of you were over there smiling, feeling positive, like best attitude that you could possibly expect out of somebody who is waiting to have something completely rebuilt on their car so that they can get off the line the next morning. I mean, your guys' enthusiasm and attitude is contagious. Anybody could have gone back there, and you guys are the ones having the thing that you're struggling with, and you would put them in a good mood. That says something about the 2 of you.
I mean, that's a gift. So
we don't call him MacGyver for no reason. Have an awesome day. Now we've got, I think, what I referred to earlier as the tallest Jeep on the rally this year, or at least it's taller than me. I know that for a fact. We've got Team 121, who we spoke about a bit on the very first live show. We've got Jessie Puffenbarger, and she has an extensive amount of off-road experience, and Paulette Kirby, who's been doing navigation on foot, on bike competitions for a really long time. Excited, ladies?
Ready to go. Yes.
Awesome. You guys have a great day out there. Enjoy it. Jeep looks awesome. Jeep looks green, my favorite color.
Yep, mine too.
Approved. 142. Look at that car. I get stuck between car, truck, SUV. I just kind of think car applies to them all. I've been going with car, but I think the Jeep people don't take too kindly to that. This is a beautiful vehicle. Harry's probably already discussed it with you, so I'm going to skip that part and move in on Nicole Wakelin, our driver, and our navigator, Alice Chase. These 2 came as automotive journalists last year and decided that they loved it so much they wanted to come back and compete full time. How you feeling this morning, ladies?
Good, we're excited. Day 2, so here we go.
Here we go. Car's looking great. You guys looking great. You got fueled up by Mr. Drew Deckman over there? Yep. What was for breakfast today?
Good.
Was good?
It was tasty. Everything was great.
Drew has us fresh bowls of fresh cut fruit every morning. Today we had burritos. I mean, we are so spoiled by that man. Yeah, coffee, yeah. All we need is the coffee, Nicole says. Coffee is priority. It's a beautiful day out here. It's really interesting how quickly you wake up in the morning and you wake up and, like me, putting on your snow bib and now standing out here at 7:48, I'm warming up real quick. And that's one of the things that we love about being out here is the diversity in the terrain, the diversity in the weather, the diversity among the competitors. Diversity is a big subject out here, and it really makes the rally what it is. Who do we have here this morning? 184. Good morning, ladies. We've got Eliza Coleman in the driver's seat today. Eliza Coleman is a stunt driver, has been for how many years, Eliza?
A couple.
Oh, yeah, just a couple. Sure. Eliza has, if you have seen any movies where there are cars flying through the air, Eliza has probably been in one of them at one point or another.
I've had a lot of fun.
And we've got Kendra Miller in the navigator seat this morning. Kendra is a 5-year and original Rebelle. So Kendra has been with us every single year since the beginning.
Yep.
And you two just teamed up last year for the first time, right? Tell me a
Thanks
little
to
bit
you.
about how you met.
I signed up and then realized I might not be prepared, and I called Andrea and I said, withdraw my entry. And Andrea said, no, I'm going to introduce you to someone. And here we are.
Yeah.
Year 2. We're still laughing and having a lot of fun. Thank you.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad. And I think it was really the first day of the first year that you competed together that you both came up to me individually and were just like, this is going to work. This is going to work. Yep. We know it. It's happening.
And it does.
That is great.
It works.
That is awesome. Well, you two have an awesome day. Enjoy. Go get them. Geez, the wind is blowing at the perfect angle right now, and these flags are just looking wonderful. They're looking beautiful. Got all of our sponsors on here. Total Chaos, Jeep, our Rebelle flags, Mapbox, Power Innovations, who thanks to them we have been getting much better sleep without the noise of generators running around all night. Unless you're into white noise, I much prefer the quiet sleep. So thank you, Power Innovations. And we're going to go ahead and go back over to Matt and Katie. Thanks so much for joining us over here at the start.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I mean, she just knows so much about all of these teams, having worked with them for the entire year. So it's really special to have a deeper understanding of the kinds of people that compete in the Rebelle. I mean, everything from CEOs to entrepreneurs to restaurateurs. It's such an incredible field. Now, let's quickly talk about, before we head off, and we're racing down, I don't have to whisper anymore because the teams have all gone, we're racing down to Olancha Dunes today, and the competitors will see sand for the first time. So we're going to pack up here shortly and try and get down there. But the vehicle classes are a really important aspect. You know, we've got all this really deep information from Harry, but if you're just joining us, there are 2 classes in the Rebelle. The 4x4 class, 4-wheel drive, and they must have a transfer case. The X-Cross, 2-wheel drive or all-wheel drive with no transfer case. That's an important distinction because it's 2 classes and there's prizes for each class. Anything to add to that, Harry?
Just to be clear, a transfer case means you have a low range. You have this ability to manipulate the vehicle to drive extraordinarily slowly over like rock crawling and stuff. That's what a transfer case gives you.
Okay, so I think we need to pack up and get out of here so we can get down there on
Everyone
time
else
to
is
get
leaving.
live. Absolutely. So before we sign off, I just want to say a couple of things about a competition we're running. If you sign up for our newsletter, so all you have to do is go on to rebellerally.com and sign up for the newsletter. You can go in the draw to win our 5th anniversary starter pack. Corksicle, 12 ounces of Cafe Moto coffee, which is delicious, a Sunto compass, bandanas and face masks, of course, and Choco Love. We have beanies and stickers.
And Max Trax.
Oh, that's the clutch.
We might see Max Trax in use today.
Absolutely. I think we
Hopefully
should do
not
a
by
demo.
us, but maybe by us.
Oh, do I have to get out and dig if it's you and I? Because I'm
maybe
traveling
so.
with you. But in a nutshell, this is a package worth over $700, and all you have to do is sign up for our newsletter, which, if you do, you will get a daily update of what's going on course. So it's a really valuable piece of information to help you learn and understand about the rally if you're interested. So get onto social and follow us. Our photographers are amazing, and you'll be able to see the journey and also keep your finger on the pulse with the competition. Get onto our website and understand the scoring, and don't forget to download YB Races, our partner and comrade in arms, Drew Jackson. We miss you over there in London, but if you download that, you're going to have a deeper understanding of where the competitors are. So on that note, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you in the sand.
Life can throw you a curve, send you down an unexpected path. But navigating the rocky moments is part of the adventure. To help you discover what's been missing.
Bandit! Why did you run off?
Introducing the 2021 Telluride Nightfall Edition.
Iridium is more than just a satellite company, making connections anywhere, to anything or anyone. There's no other network like it. Operating in low Earth orbit, Iridium is still the only commercial satellite system where calls and data are passed from satellite to satellite. Safety and reliability are in Iridium's DNA. Trusted by people and organizations in some of the world's most challenging environments, Iridium remains committed to helping make the world a safer place. As we look to the future, the possibilities are endless.